A winter storm warning as the metro prepares for round two as more winter weather is moving in. Let's get straight to our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb. Chris, walk us through the timeline here. A lot of people are wondering when are we going to start seeing this winter weather?
It's going to be coming in tonight. First with the cold air that's going to start moving in, and then we're going to see the rain, actually the snow that's going to start coming in during the overnight hours tonight. You can see what we're watching right now with this ice storm warning that is in effect from Metro Atlanta up toward the north and also to the east of us, and it does include the Metro Atlanta area. These are the spots that have the better chance of getting some accumulating snow here from Atlanta to the north and also to the east. What you see back over to the west of us, this is where we have a winter weather advisory in effect. Some winter weather there, but not as many impacts to the west of us and also down to the south as what we could see here from Atlanta going up toward the north and east. And as you go up toward the north and east, progressively those impacts are going to get higher and higher with some of those snow accumulations and slick roads that are going to be developing out there too. So as you know, we have been telling you all week long, our team has been preparing you for this system going into the weekend when we issued earlier the 11Alive weather impact alert for Saturday through Monday for cold air. But then also for that on Saturday is going to be the potential for that snow that's going to be moving in. And then the cold is going to last into Monday morning before we start warming up. So you've got to be careful when you're out in the snow, maybe wanting to play in it a little bit. You definitely have to bundle up in extra layers. Make the kids come in and warm up as well because it is going to be brutally cold. So here's what you need to know for the weekend. We've got the frigid temperatures that are on the way. It's pretty much going to be below freezing throughout the entire weekend. We may get up to 34 degrees on Sunday afternoon, which would be a couple of degrees above freezing, but just for a short period. Then we go back to below freezing to 20s again on Monday morning. Finally, Monday afternoon, we'll be back into the 40s and starting to thaw out a little bit. We also have the snow risk here for Saturday, 1 to 3 inches of snow possible in the metro area. We're talking 3 to 5 inches of snow possible east of us. And then again, over in West Georgia, you may not see much snow at all there. We have to be aware of slick areas developing on the roads here on Saturday. Some of those will linger into Sunday as well, as since we're not going to get above freezing on Saturday, anything that comes down and is stuck on the road and is frozen on the road is still most likely going to be there going into Sunday morning as well. So you've got to be prepared for that. Now here is a look at our hand-drawn snow forecast of what we're looking. And as we've been telling you, remember I just showed you that winter storm warning there with the higher amounts north and east of us, lesser amounts over on the west side. We're talking there in West Georgia, some flurries with maybe no accumulations. And if there are any accumulations, depending on where some of those bands set up, we could see in some spots getting maybe up to around an inch of accumulation there. Once you get closer to Atlanta, pretty much here along I-75 and to the east of that, that's where we start seeing those accumulations ramping up a little bit more. Maybe 1 inch here in West Atlanta and then possibly up to 3 inches as you go up into parts of Gwinnett County. And then beyond that, where you see the darker blue color, that's where we're going to see some of these accumulations 3 to 5 inches covering a big area of North and also East Georgia. And then cross the line over into South Carolina, that's when we start to see some of those accumulations around 6 inches or more with some of the estimates that we're seeing from our modeling right now. Now, the other thing I want you to be aware of, it is going to be really cold. We have an extreme cold warning that is in effect here for North Georgia, Metro Atlanta, also down to the south of us, where we know it's going to be cold all weekend long. But the coldest part of this is going to be Saturday evening through Sunday morning and into around lunchtime. We're going to see temperatures Sunday morning dropping down to around 14 degrees. And when you factor in the wind, it's going to feel like 5 below zero to around 5 above zero. So that's some really cold air that we're going to have to deal with out there for Melissa. We know that kids, families, parents, adults, everybody's got to bundle up.
Bundle up in lots of layers, especially as we head into the second half of Saturday. After the snow has fallen, the winds pick up. It's going to be brutal with those wind chills out there. Let's talk about the snow potential, though. Chris showed you that hand-drawn map that we've looked at, combed through many, many models. But the difference between who sees a coating of snow and who sees 2 inches of snow It could be, 20 miles difference, not much. Here's the HER model, and you can see that kind of medium blue color is the 1.5 to 2 inch. They have it right on top of Atlanta and Cobb County. Well, let me show you a different model. This is going to be the graph model, and this one has that sharp cutoff on the eastern side of Atlanta. So that's a 20-mile difference, but that could be the difference in your house getting a coating of snow and getting a good 2 or 3 inches of snow. It's going to be a sharp cutoff somewhere around that 75 corridor. All of our models are very locked in to that significant accumulating snowfall above 3 inches or so in eastern Georgia. These are the same areas that saw the greatest impacts from our ice storm last weekend, but that could include the North Georgia mountains down through Gainesville, Athens as well. Those snow amounts could be easily 3 to 5 inches. So hazardous roadways, especially in East Georgia, the impacts there will be very high. Here in the metro will be high. The roads that are treated initially should be kind of slushy first thing in the morning. As we see the snow coming down a little heavier and consistent for several hours by mid-morning or so, even those roadways will be slushy, snow-covered, and very slick. Power outages, low chance of that, not really high on the scale, and then a lot of closures and delays already coming in now. We'll see more of those closures lasting into the weekend as well. Now, I want to talk about the winds, though, because this is going to create a wind chill effect, but also our snow we're expecting on Saturday is a powdery snow. What I mean by that is, we're not talking about a typical southern snow where it's 34 degrees and snowing. It's in the mid-20s. This is like fresh powder that you see at the ski slopes. So the winds, as they pick up in the afternoon, that's going to be blowing the snow around. So we have impacts when the snow's coming down and more road impacts blowing that fluffy, powdery snow around later in the day. Chris, the definition of a blizzard is 35-mile-per-hour gusts, visibility quarter of a mile or less for 3 hours consecutively. I don't know. Could we be there? It's possible. All right, let's go through the timeline just to kind of recap tonight. Cold air arrives, snow showers develop on either side of midnight. Not everybody's going to see them at midnight. It'll be by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning that snow really fills in on radar. We're tracking snow accumulating, especially east of Atlanta in the morning. Then we see it tapering off in the afternoon. Wind chills are in the teens, significant road impacts where we do get several inches of snow throughout the day on Saturday. And then Sunday, that bitter cold follows. Chris will be talking about the wind chills -0, below zero, first thing Sunday morning.
Yeah, and Melissa, it's funny that blizzard definition is more about the wind and how long the wind is and also the visibility and not as much about how much snow has fallen. So you can even have blizzard conditions and still not a lot of snow coming in. So here's the forecast track where we're watching overnight tonight. Some of that snow starts coming in from the north, pushing southward here during the overnight hours. And you see here by tomorrow morning that better coverage of snow is going to be over to the north and east of us, and then more spotty showers over on the west side. And there again, we're talking about where is that cutoff line going to be during the morning hours tomorrow as to who gets more snow to the east and who gets less snow to the west. Once we get to around lunchtime, the back edge of the snow is going to start pushing out. By 4 o'clock, still some snow in parts of Athens and Eatonton, and then that's going to continue to move away. So the snow will be finished falling from the sky, but whatever's left on the ground and doesn't blow around is going to stay there for a while because it is going to be frigid here on Sunday morning. Now, we're going to have a lot more on this. We'll finish up this forecast track for you coming up in just a little bit here and let you know when we're going to warm up. But just a reminder for you, we have been preparing you for this system for the past few days here, and our entire team of meteorologists are going to be in during the day tomorrow to help you with this. And of course, we're going to keep streaming for you during the evening hours tonight, continuous live radar and live updates, not only this evening, but also overnight tonight with updates early tomorrow morning, and then our newscast streaming beginning at 6 o'clock and staying on through the duration of the storm. And you can find that on 11Alive Plus.
Right now, agencies all across the metro are putting plans into action as we prepare for this next round of winter weather. We have team coverage for you tonight. 11 Alive's Angelina Salcido is live in Atlanta. Angelina, in just a few minutes, we are expecting to hear from the Atlanta Department of Transportation on their preparations ahead of the storm.
And Cody, this happening after the city of Atlanta actually declared a local state of emergency here, which is in line with Governor Kemp declaring a state of emergency for the second weekend in a row, given the winter storm impacts that we are expected to see across Metro Atlanta this weekend starting tomorrow. Now, they are preparing to obviously clear the roads, treat those roads, and make sure that everybody is prepared with what they need to know heading into this storm. This storm obviously is going to be different than what we anticipated last week. In many areas in Metro Atlanta, we experienced some ice. The impacts here obviously going to be heavily because of the snow. So the roads are being pre-treated right now. That will continue overnight and into tomorrow as well. And once this storm comes through, the snow is going to be removed. Then they're going to treat with salt and sand, similar to how they have done in the past. You remember we went through a storm system last year where, we had some hazardous conditions because people were not off of the roads. That is the main message that I'm sure they're going to be stressing at this press conference when we hear from the city of Atlanta and the officials here that are trying to plan around the impacts that we're going to see. I'll tell you, in Gwinnett County, they're doing the exact same thing, trying to make sure that people stay off of the roads. That way it clears it up for the crews that are going to be treating the roads, but also for our emergency services, 911, when people call 911, to try and get people to their homes as soon as possible. The more roads are clear, the easier it makes their job. I'll tell you, in Gwinnett County, they do have warming centers that are going to be opening, 5 of them open tonight at 6 o'clock. They're going to be open until Monday morning at 7 a.m., but should they need to be open any longer, they're going to extend those hours as well, possibly into the next several days. We'll let you guys know as soon as we hear some more updates from the city of Atlanta here. But for now, live in Atlanta, Angelina Salcido, 11 Alive News.
The DOT is also in the process of treating the roads tonight. 11 Alive's Doug Richard is in DeKalb County near Spaghetti Junction with how the state aims to keep the roads clear.
The Georgia DOT says this weekend's weather will be vastly different than last weekend's ice storm and will require a vastly different approach. Last weekend's ice storm required the pre-treatment of roads with brine. The DOT has already been brining roads in preparation for this weekend's forecast of snow. Because much of the state is expected to see snow, it'll stretch the DOT a lot thinner than last weekend. It'll also require more labor-intensive snow plows to try to keep clear some 20,000 lane miles of road in Georgia.
We're having to focus our efforts, largely also because this is going to be a plowable event. So that's good. If we're out there working, snow is better than ice because you can plow it. But plowing is also very labor intensive because you can plow 200 miles of a route. Mother Nature's can cover that up right behind us. We have to re-plow back. So there's a lot of plowing and re-plowing that has to happen. It takes longer than brining. So we are going to focus on really a more dedicated section of lanes to keep clear.
The DOT intends to keep clear dedicated lanes of travel. That means that not all lanes of travel on multi-lane roads will actually get plowed, but rather just enough lanes so that some traffic can keep moving. In DeKalb County, Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
And with these days forecasted to reach temperatures below freezing, another top concern, pipes. 11 Alive's Molly Oak takes a look at the top things you can do right now to help protect your pipes.
Well, you probably already know this one. Just drip your faucet, but turns out there's a couple of other things you can do right now to help protect your pipes.
You can slide it up over and tie it around.
Pipes bursting, pricey. Protecting pipes, pretty cheap.
You want to think about in freezing weather how water leaves your home. Those are the most vulnerable pipes. So those are the ones you want to focus your effort and money on.
First tip, protect any outside spigots.
And you'll wrap the rag itself around there with the tape.
Basically, make a jacket for it. You can use stuff you already have at home.
So anything waterproof and warm.
Like a rag in a plastic bag.
And the reason being that if a rag gets wet and then freezes around your pipe, it sort of defeats the purpose of keeping it warm in the first place. You can turn the water off and that will help with freezing.
Next, know where your water shutoffs are.
Both for your whole house in case a pipe bursts or for your individual outdoor spigots.
Finally, open your cabinets.
Keep the doors open and allow the warmer that is in the house to circulate under the plumbing.
But if you don't want your cabinets open, keep your faucets dripping. One more tip, go ahead and look up a plumber now. That way, in case something does happen, you already know who you're gonna call. Guys.
Well, after a major winter storm, utility companies don't restore power house by house. They follow a priority system. First, crews will focus on critical facilities like hospitals, emergency services, and water systems. Then they'll repair major transmission lines and substations that bring electricity to a large number of people. From there, they'll work down to neighborhood lines and finally individual homes. So even if your house is ready for power, crews may still be fixing the larger lines that serve thousands before you get your lights back on.
The Arctic air that's moving our way is up around the Great Lakes right now, and that's going to be diving into our area tonight and colliding with some moisture in the form of snow overnight tonight and then through the morning hours tomorrow. We'll let you know when we'll see the Arctic air moving away and when we'll begin to thaw out coming up.
Tonight, the winter storm warning in effect and how it's going to impact the metro and, of course, north and east Georgia. We're going to get right over to Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb. Chris, kind of unusual to have back-to-back winter storms here around metro Atlanta.
The good news about this one, though, is that it's going to be snow and not ice. Remember, last week we were watching that ice that was moving in, and ice is something that really causes a lot more problems with the infrastructure because of the heaviness of that ice on trees and power lines. That causes a lot more power outages. With this system, it's going to be a light powdery snow, so that's not going to add as much weight on the trees. Now, we are going to have some wind, and we could still see some trees and some tree limbs come down that could cause some spotty power outages, but we're not really expecting anything widespread like we would have with an ice event. So the main thing we're watching is going to be really along the I-75 corridor, including Metro Atlanta, that line up toward the north and east. That's when we have this winter storm warning that is in effect. These are the areas that have the better chance of having some accumulations. Now, if you go over to West Georgia, still some impacts with winter weather, but maybe not as much of accumulation, if any, in spots in West Georgia. There may be some bands that still come through West Georgia that might give some accumulations there, but just not as much of a coverage as what we're going to see from Atlanta up toward the north and also to the east. So here's a look at the model data showing you the snow potential. I showed you our hand-drawn map just a moment ago, but here's the actual model data that we're looking at for this. You'll see the snow accumulation starting in North Georgia and then pushing down toward Metro Atlanta through the overnight hours. This is the map for 7 o'clock in the morning. Some of those accumulations mainly to the north and east of us. But watch how through the morning hours, those snow accumulations start to grow a little bit, especially north and east of the city. Now, again, spotty snow that could cause some accumulations over in West Georgia, but some areas, holes within that may not pick up any accumulations at all. Once you get to Atlanta, and again, we're roughly staying along the 75 corridor there, to the east of that, that's where those snow totals are going to start ramping up, like from the downtown area up to Gwinnett County. That would go from maybe 1 inch or so up to about 3 inches potentially in Gwinnett County. And then moving on up toward the north and east, that's where we're going to see some snow totals potentially between 3 and 5 inches in parts of northeast and also eastern Georgia before it's all said and done. Now, we do think that the snow is going to start tapering off during those afternoon hours. So here's what we're going to be watching out there. It is going to be, we're going to be dealing with the snow on Saturday, and then we never even make it above freezing here on Saturday afternoon. A high will only be in the 20s there on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we make it above freezing briefly up to about 34 degrees. So we're going to have about 60 plus hours at temperatures at or below freezing. And that is a critical time frame for the potential for freezing pipes. So if you have pipes that are susceptible to freezing, and definitely we told you earlier about covering up those outdoor spigots. Also, make sure any of those pipes that are susceptible to freezing are wrapped. If you can't wrap them, definitely drip the pipes inside your house. So here's what we're watching. We have the clouds that are building in tonight. The system we're watching already beginning some snow here in parts of Tennessee. We've got an upper level low that's diving our way that has moisture with it. We're also watching those that coastal low that's developing off the coast that's going to start spreading some moisture our way too. Right now, you know, it hadn't been a bad day. We got up to 54 degrees today. That's actually going to help with our road temperatures. Once this system comes in here and the temperatures are going to be falling very quickly, at least the roads are going to stay a little bit warmer for a while. But then look at these temperatures here during the day tomorrow, 30 degrees early in the morning and then 20s all day long as the snow ends mid-morning to around lunchtime, and then it gets really windy and stays cold through the afternoon. So here again is the forecast track. Later tonight, we'll start to see some flurries in far north Georgia. That starts spreading down closer to us, spotty snow showers over on the west side. But then you can see here around Atlanta, roughly along that I-75 corridor, most of the snow is going to be falling at a longer time frame to the east of us, and that's why they're going to have higher amounts to the east. But you see the back edge of that snow moving through Saturday afternoon. It's going to start tapering off from west to east and then finally exiting. And then look at this, that brisk northwest wind coming in here, reinforcing the cold air in place. That gets us down to 14 on Sunday morning and then a high of only 34 in the afternoon, back to 23 Monday, finally thawing out next week. 49 for a high Monday, 50s on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you see a low rain chance coming back in here on Wednesday. A reminder for you, we are going to be streaming all throughout the day tomorrow. Our entire team of meteorologists will be here for you streaming. We'll have coverage overnight, early tomorrow morning, and throughout the storm, and we'll be doing that on 11Alive Plus.
But right now, our own Cheryl Preheim is on a flight to Milan to cover the Winter Olympics. She posted this video as she was getting ready to leave.
Time to go to the Winter Olympics. Bags are packed. The kids surprised me with a delicious send-off breakfast. Saying goodbye is always the hard part of this, but we've been planning this for months to make sure we bring you the best coverage of all the exciting events in Milan. But first, got to get through the airport, and TSA tells me they're on snow watch for the weekend, but right now, all the flights looking good. I make my way to the gate, meet some very nice ladies who ask for Olympic pins and think it's very funny that I'm carrying so many huge bags, but I had to explain to them one of those bags inside has all my camera gear, taking 5 cameras to the Winter Olympics so that we can show you all the behind the scenes action and we don't miss a moment. So from Atlanta, here we go. Excited to follow Team USA and take you all to Milan. Be sure to follow more of our exclusive coverage on 11alive.com and on the 11 Alive app. Here we come, Milan.
Cold air coming in tonight, moisture also coming in. We're going to see snow in parts of North Georgia first, late tonight, and then overnight that starts spreading down into metro Atlanta. It is going to be really cold tomorrow, only up to 28